Hello, everyone. You listen to another episode of Let's Talk Sports with Tim McCain. I am here with Reggie Barnett Jr. He is he was an amateur boxer who won Golden Gloves. He was an Olympic medalist. 6-2 as a professional boxer. 5-1 as a bare knuckle fight league champion, and he also was a mixed martial arts star as well. Today, Reggie.
Don't pour it in your own can. Yeah.
Doing
Hey, what's up, man? I'm sorry. Like I said, we trying to get my life situated at the moment.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
I'm good, man. We had our last little training session today. I got some brand new shoes for my sponsor over at Match Bout. So I just was kind of dancing around, doing a little bit of shadow boxing, light workout, trying to break them in, make sure they're good to go for Friday.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So you have a 135 interim championship underway against Pat Nugent.
They pronounce it Dat Gwen. I call him Dat be that bitch Gwen.
I feel you. So there's a lot of trash talking that's going around between the two of you. Is that correct?
I mean, initially it was the utmost respect for me towards him, and then he had some distasteful things to say about my family, and then some distasteful things to say about me, and I guess try to assassinate my character and who I am as a person. But it's all good. Some part of it is part of the sport. Some part of it was just that trying to act like he's a better human being than me, which is cool. That's how he wants to carry it. I know in my heart I'm a better fighter than him. I know I'm a better bare knuckle fighter than him. And so I'm looking forward to the opportunity to prove that.
Well, you know what? The crazy thing is that people do judge people based on your history. But what I will say is that there's always redemption. And you found that redemption, and that was in boxing. That was in fighting. So just explain to people, what was that mentality like to know, hey, look, there's some people, they go through the dumps and they don't know how to overcome it, but you overcame your adversity. You changed up to become a better fighter, to become a better man. What was that experience like for you to become a better version of yourself?
I mean, it was a long road. It was a tough road. I spent, I want to say, a good decade plus years of my life just living in utter what we would call chaos, with no real direction or drive to be anything other than what I was at the time. I would say I was lost as an individual. And a lot of people don't know that when I went to court for my sentencing, I asked the judge for more time because I knew that it was going to take some more time for not just my body to heal, but also my mind and my heart from the guilt and shame that I felt inside for some of the things that I had done when I was out there in that street life. When I was out there, I call it in my cups. I was a horrible alcoholic. I drank from 6 a.m. to 6 a.m. every day. There wasn't a time, at that point in my life when I wasn't inebriated. So to be able to approach life with a clear and sober mind means the world to me. I still, believe it or not, I fought a couple times, back then, inebriated. And a few times I won, a few times I got my ass kicked, but still, that's no way to live. I wasn't able to take care of my family at full capacity. I wasn't able to be a friend, a father, a son, an uncle, and all those things that, we as men are. I guess, for lack of better words, I half-assed did them because I was just so far gone. And now living in recovery, because it's not a end all, I'm sober now, and so yeah, I have it all figured out. No, life, still happens. We still face challenges. We go through things, but I'm able to approach those situations and make sound decisions about how I should handle things rather than irrational, on the whim, just, 'cause like I said, it was just chaos, man. It was like a whirlwind of just turmoil and just, I can't even explain it, and so it feels great. I'm grateful. First of all, I'm grateful to God because there were a few times in my life where I should have, and where I definitely probably should have died. There's a few times in my life where I literally felt the hand of God reach out and be like, don't do that, son. I have a bigger purpose for you. And I didn't know it then. I didn't understand it then, but now I do. And so, in that bigger purpose, I'm able to give back to my community. I'm able to show up for the people who believe in me and rely on me, and be there to inspire other people. So it's absolutely great, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I want to extend that a little bit further. So when you talk about helping your community, and you see a brother or somebody in that same situation or a similar situation that you were in, knowing that it's a process, what's some of the things that you would tell him or her how to get out and how to face recovery, how to
Um,
face family again?
the first part about it is we have to be honest with ourselves as human beings. Human beings, the hardest part is the honesty part. Was for me to really truly take some introspective in the things that I had done, the person that I had become, and the damage that I had caused to other people, and the damage that I had caused to myself physically and mentally. I had to be honest about those things. And then the second thing is I tell them that it's okay to feel, I know this sounds crazy, but it's okay to feel the guilt and shame, because you have to embrace it. If you don't, the biggest part for me is some of the things that I did, I felt so guilty about that I stuffed those feelings with alcohol for years. I just stuffed it and I tried to hide it, or whatever, medicate or whatever you want to call it, for years. And it wasn't until I learned to embrace those things, be honest with what happened in my life. And then the third thing is play the tape through on every decision and situation that I make in multiple ways. And 9 times out of 10, I found that when I did, I was able to make the right decision. And sometimes the right decision is the hard decision to make. And like I said, when I went in front of that judge, I knew how much time I had left, but I knew that that wasn't going to be enough time. And my family and my friends, they all thought I was crazy. They're like, what? You just what? And I'm like, no, 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 no. I got this. Trust me. I need this for myself. And so I have a student of mine who only knows, I only know this young man because of my story and what I went through. And, they did a little news thing on me out here in my local area. And then a couple, weeks later, he hit me up. He was like, hey, man, I'm struggling. I just need, some guidance, some help. And I was like, come on, let me take you under my wing. And this was maybe like 2 or 3 years ago. And we're like brothers now. We're as close as brothers. He's completely turned his life around. And to be able to do that means more than any, excuse my language, any fucking world championship I could ever win. Life is about the human experience and being there for each other and being able to lift each other up. And I couldn't do that when I was out there in the streets, when I was out there in my cups. And so now I can, and I just take a step back. And the last thing that I tell them most of the time is that you're here for a reason. God has had you here for a reason. Not everybody has a great, purposeful calling, but we're all here for a reason. And live according to that purpose. You have to find it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's amazing, man. So I just want to first thank you for the work that you do in the community, and thank you for mentoring that young man who's now a brother of yours. That's pretty dope. That's pretty dope.
He's one of my closest training partners now too. You know, he's got. When I first met this young man, he was a little strung out. He was working at a 7-Eleven, and just completely lost in life. And I felt that way before too. I had a job and blah blah blah. Now he has his own place. He's got he's what is it? The assistant whatever director for the company that he works for. So he's got a better job than I do. Shit, a better day job than I do now. But and all that doesn't mean anything. The fact that he's still alive is the most important thing, because it wasn't an easy road. We still make bad decisions, choices, or whatever. And there were a few times where I had to pull him in and be like, hey man, this is not what you wanted to do, right? And this is not what you aspired to do. You got to reel yourself in, and and just that he's still alive, and I have another brother, that I can reach out to when I'm going through some things. Because it's not like I don't go through things myself. I'm human. We're all human. But now that we're both in the right state of mind, sober, and just moving forward with our lives, we can bounce off of each other. And now he's got he's got a couple kids underneath him that are, he trains at a different, he trains with me, of course, but he lives on the other side of the water, as we call it. So he's got a couple kids that train with him at his other gym that he's taken under his wing. So it grows. It's almost like they say that ripple in the water. It has to start somewhere, and I'm grateful that God brought me back so that I could start doing that and leave an everlasting effect on other people's lives and see them help change other people's lives.
Yeah, man. I think that's one of the reasons why I love sports, because of course sports is entertaining, and it's fun. It's fun to watch. But there's something about what sports does to people and motivates people and inspires people to be better. It can help a young child who's in the streets and help bring them into the gym and
We
help.
do that at my gym. I have an outreach program at my gym. If there's a couple of the high schools, if they have a troubled kid or something, rather than, like putting them out of school or putting them in the juvenile detention center, they'll contact my dad, and my dad and them will speak with, their parents and the sheriff and them, and we'll see about whether we can do anything to help them and bring them in the gym and, try to give them my gym is my sanctuary. And that's what I call it. Because when I first came home, it was a little rough making that adjustment back into society. And so I spent a lot of time hiding out in the gym, but also I spent a lot of time getting better at my craft.
Yes, sir.
And so I wanted to make that available for other kids. And we've had quite a few kids that have came through that have, been, I guess, what you would call a problem child. And we teach them that discipline, that self accountability, that drive, that passion, everything that comes with the sport of boxing transfers over into real life.
That's right.
And some of them have stayed, and some of them have gone on to do great things. A few of them are often, well, we got COVID now, so I don't know if they're actually in college, but they left to go off to college and become something else. And I just could only sometimes speculate and imagine if I didn't have that, if that wasn't there for those kids, where would they be? And then I've also had a few that have came and we've tried our hardest, and no matter what, it just, it didn't just resonate with them, and they went back out there and they're not here anymore. They're not on this earth anymore. And, that hurts.
Yeah.
Sometimes, but at the same time, I know that I can't save everybody, but I will damn sure try.
Yeah, man, you're right. It's about choices, and you can give all the love in the world. It's about what not they choose to accept.
Of course, one of the things too, and when you asked that initial question, I forgot. One of the other things that I told them and that somebody told me is nobody can make you want to get sober until you are ready to get sober. You have to make that. I could preach it to you all day long, but you have to make that decision for yourself, who and what you want to be in life. And when I came home, before I even got home, because I was ridiculed and teased and belittled, and they treated me like shit when I was locked up because of what I was trying to do. I was trying to change my life. I didn't feed into that prison culture. I didn't feed into, all the crap that goes on the inside. I was doing the exact opposite. I didn't want to play that game with them, but they also knew, don't fucking try, Reggie, because he'll beat your ass if you do. So, and it was tough, but I fought through it. I had a good friend of mine who's not here with me anymore, who saw the potential in me and knew, and he kind of stepped up and shielded me and protected me so that I could make these changes in my life. And so, like I said, the best thing that I can do is always pay it forward to the next person as much as I can. But I tell them, no matter how much I preach at you, no matter how much I grab you on the shoulder and point you in the right direction, you have to choose for yourself to walk down that path.
100% agree. 100% agree. That's amazing, Reggie. So my next question to you is, when did you first fall in love with the fight game? When did you first fall in love with fighting?
When I was 4 years old.
Wow.
My dad was he was a national champion. He was an all Navy boxer. Um, and he used to take me to the gym with him when I was a kid. Of course, that's 30 years ago, so I don't remember all the exact details.
Yeah.
But I know, kind of like my son now, he's 5 months old, but whenever I take him to the gym with me, he just sits there and he studies and he watches, and he's observing everything that's going on. I fell in love with the sport of boxing then. I had my first fight when I was 8. I lost my first 7 fights in a row.
Wow.
And I actually quit. I quit. I said, you know what? Maybe this isn't for me. And I started playing baseball. And I was really good at baseball, but I knew it wasn't really my calling. And then, like I said, I started in, I want to say, middle school and high school. All through middle school, early high school, I was bullied. They bullied the shit out of me. They picked on me so bad, and I didn't fight back. I always knew how to fight, but I just didn't fight back. I was a nerd, man. I was captain of the chess club, captain of the scholastic team, captain of the debate team, all that. And I knew how to fight. I just didn't fight back. And then I don't know, a couple of things happened in life, and I just snapped, and I just was like, you know what? Y'all want to catch these hands, then y'all can catch these hands. And I started fighting everybody. It didn't matter. And I fell in love with fighting. And I know that sounds like that's crazy, but
No.
And I started boxing again, and I got better at it. And I don't know, I won quite a few amateur. I did most of my amateur boxing from the time that I was 8 to the time that I was 12. The most accumulation of my fights, I think between the ages of 8 and 12, I fought like 60 to 70 times.
Oh, wow.
When we would go to tournaments, and, we'd get there on Thursday and we would fight, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then the next weekend, we wouldn't go to one. And then the following week, we'd go to another one. And we'd get there on Wednesday and we'd fight Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And even when I didn't win, like to go into the next bracket in the tournament, they would still do match bouts. So, and my dad would be like, oh, you're going to fight that kid. And he'd be bigger than me. And I'd be like, all right, forget it. I don't care. I just wanted to fight. And so I had that passion in me from being young. But like I said, when I got to school, I wasn't, I guess, the violent person that I became a little bit. And then when I became a teenager, man, like I said, I just was off the chain for a while. I fell in, with some bad people, with a bad crowd. I started just running with them for a while, selling drugs and doing things I had no business doing. I had a couple happenstances in my life where people got hurt really bad, and I felt, like I said, super guilty and shameful for some of the things that I had done. And I started trying to suppress that with alcohol, and it just spiraled out of control for a while. But I loved fighting still. So I was kind of that guy where if somebody needed to be beat up or somebody needed to fight, it was like, yo, call Reggie. He'll go tighten him up right quick. My mind was so screwed up at that point. If they were like, yo, Reggie, get his ass, there was no question, no second. Like, why? It wasn't like why. It was just like, okay. why did I just beat him up? Fuck it, I don't care anyway. But that's no way to live. Now I'm fighting for a purpose.
Yes, sir.
My purpose is to inspire other people to rise above and overcome their circumstances. Not just alcohol, not just addiction, but anything. People, the most important thing to me is that we are not limited by the constructs of man. We are only limited by the constructs in our own mind. It doesn't matter where you were raised. It doesn't matter where you grew up, how you grew up, whatever. Those kids in the inner cities, when they tell them, oh, you're never going to amount to nothing. That's bullshit. That's the construct of a man, right? In my heart, though, and I tell them, in your own heart and your own mind, if you know who you want to be and where you want to go, then the sky isn't even the limit. The moon isn't even the limit. There are no limitations, but you have to have that belief for yourself and not let outside influences dictate that. Um, but and I guess we'll I don't, I never talk about racial things or anything like that. But if we look at it from, a brother's perspective, there are so many other young guys out there with my skin color who have been told that they won't be anything or they can't accomplish anything just because of where they came from, and so they fall into that trap of becoming what's around them. And that is so far from the truth. Uh, and that applies to anybody, not just black people. It applies to people in general, because there are people out there from all different walks of life living in situations where people have told them that they can't, or they're not going to rise above it. And that is not the truth. That's a construct of man. And I had to learn that. And it took me a long time, and it took me a hard road, but I did. And so I can only give it back to the people, rather than going on the corner and giving to the people something that's poisoning them and taking them away from their families and killing them. I'm giving them something that they can use to live.
Man,
I'm sorry, man. We just gonna interview, bro. We in it now.
hey,
Bro. Look. One thing about me is, man, I'm real. I can't. Like I said, you have honesty, and I learned when I was going to AA that honesty is the key to all my affairs today. So I only have the capacity to be honest. I cannot sugarcoat, hide, or anything about myself or who I am or what I've done, because then I'm failing myself again. And I failed myself so many times, and that hurts worse than ever being locked up. The amount of failure that I felt for myself.
When you talk about the mental, and I feel like you can use this in boxing and in life. So a kid growing up, he's told all his life that he can't be something. What are some of the mental things he needs to do, whether, let's say, in life or in the gym or he's fighting? Like, what are some of the mental things he needs to do to overcome his circumstances or her
Circumstances. So one of the main things is identify who you are to yourself, not identify who you are to them. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
When they point the finger at you and they say you are this and this is what you're going to be, no, sir. I am this. This is how I define myself. That is the first thing. Define yourself. Do not let your circumstances or other people define who you are. And the thing about that is, you can define yourself as anything. You can define yourself as a gangster. You can define yourself as a salesman. You can define yourself as a teacher, or you can define yourself as an astronaut. But we as human beings have to write the own definition of ourselves and not let somebody from the outside define you. And once you have established that definition of who and what you want to be, right, then you go out and you start grabbing things that secure that definition, right, that add on to that definition of who you are. And that's what I did. I defined myself as a fighter, right? But like I said, what was I fighting for? What was the purpose of me being a fighter? And I took a step back and I said, I'm a fighter, but I'm not fighting for anything. So then I grabbed in, well, what do you want to fight for? I want to fight so that I can take care of my family. I want to fight so that way I can inspire other people. I want to fight so that way, excuse me. Sorry, I burped. I want to fight so that way somebody out there who hasn't established their definition of themselves can see that it is possible to define who you are within yourself. That was for me. But we get so wrapped up in the opinions of other people and the projections of other people, that we don't define ourselves as human beings. Wow. I told my daughter, and she'll ask you if I, Natty, are you still up? Come out here and tell them what you are. This is my 12-year-old daughter. All I have to do is ask her what she is. Whatever. Tell him what you are.
I'm beautiful, I'm smart and strong, and I can be anything I want to be.
That's the definition of my daughter.
That's right.
And what does that mean?
It means that I can do anything that I put my mind to. I am stronger than what I think I am, and I'm smarter than I know I am.
Amen. That's good.
But when I was in, thank you. I love you. Good night. But when I was drunk, I couldn't tell her that. You know, when I was out there in the street, I wasn't there for her to instill those values in her.
Yes, sir.
So it's a bigger meaning, bro. It is. It's just it's so much and so little at the same time. And there, I mean, case in point, that's a 12-year-old little girl, and she already knows
Who she is.
who
what
she
she's
is
gonna be. That's
and what she's gonna be.
and that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about.
But we need people out there to help other people. Sometimes there are people out there who need help realizing it.
Yes.
And so fighting for me is just a figment of who I am. And it's given me a platform to be able to do that for other people. And that's what makes it even better. That's why I fight a little harder. You know, that's why I go out there with that tenaciousness that I have, because I'm not just fighting to put money in my pocket. I'm not just fighting to beat up another man. I'm fighting for all those other people out there who may be lost, who need somebody to reassure them that they can define themselves.
Man, that is amazing, Reggie. You know what? Where can people find you on social media? When's your next fight? Is it on pay-per-view? And do you do any motivational or inspirational videos that people can see? Because you definitely, I mean, if you don't have it, I suggest you get that on, because you have an amazing voice that needs to be heard, and your voice can encourage so many people.
You know, somebody literally, I was a little late for this meeting because somebody was telling me that. She was saying, when you retire from fighting, your second career is gonna be being a motivational speaker.
Yes, sir.
And it kind of it brought tears to my eyes a little bit, because for me, that means I made it. I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna beat that ass next Friday. That's hands down. You know, and I'm sorry about the vulgarity. It comes out, like I said, I can only be real as I can be. That I am assured of I'm going to do. But at the same time, knowing that I'm capable of changing lives and inspiring other people to reach. Well, I always make the reference to that Heath Ledger movie when his father told him to change his stars, you know, because for a long time, I didn't even get a chance to see the stars. I lived in complete darkness, you know, and I have changed my stars. And so all I want to do is be that guiding light to help other people change their stars. You can find me on, of course, Instagram _EAZ_E_. I have a fan page on Facebook, Reggie Easy Barnett Jr. I got banned from Twitter for one post, and it wasn't even that bad. We ain't even gonna go into all that. So Twitter can have that. Well, I mean, I'm like I said, I'll be honest. There's a rapper named The Baby. I cannot stand him. He talks all that rah gangster shit, and you are doing absolutely nothing for the community. You're doing absolutely nothing for these kids out here to look up to you. You know, you have all that power, all that influence, and you do absolutely nothing. And that was my. I will say my tweet was really obscene, but I don't think it was obscene enough for me to get banned. And me and my buddies were joking about it today, and they were like, well, maybe they thought you were really talking about a real baby and not him. And that's why they banned you. And I was like, well, dang. Excuse me if I'm losing, it sounds like I'm losing my voice. We had Boxing Day in the USA this weekend. My team went 4-2, and my protege, that's what I call him. Me and his father grew up together. We went to high school together. He's seen my trials and tribulations. Well, one day he brought his son in the gym and he said, hey, he said he doesn't want to play football anymore. He wants to be like you. And I was like me? What? Nobody wants to be like me. He was like, no, he looks up to you. He admires you and he wants to fight. Will you teach him? And he's been with me since, and he fought today. He was the last fight of the day. And I was, I worked his corner. I'm over there yelling. So, yeah. anyone have a voice to talk trash at the press conference. But yeah, this weekend, Friday, Friday the 13th, and I'm not superstitious, so I don't even really care about that. I'm fighting that Be That Bitch Go In for Bare Knuckle Championships 14, live from Miami, Florida. The only way that you're able to watch this fight is to download the BKTV app.
Okay.
And on the app, they have so much other content than just fights, and they have much more content to be released. And it's a subscription, but every month there's an event. So it's just like, downloading ESPN Plus or blah, blah, blah. I ain't trying to plug them or nothing, but, it's well worth your money. I promise you it's well worth the money. The excitement. There's no other sport in the world like bare knuckle fighting championships. Every time I go out there and toe the line, it's do or die. I leave it all in the squared circle because, like I said, I'm fighting for a bigger cause than just to punch the other man in the face across the ring from me. And I also do enjoy hitting people. So.
Yes. And I would definitely echo what you were saying. For anyone listening to this, definitely check out Reggie Barnett Jr. He's not just fighting for himself. He's fighting for his family. He's fighting for the community. And you can just hear the passion in his voice. And I just cannot wait to see what comes next for Reggie Barnett Jr. Thank you very much, sir, for your time.
Tim, thank you so much for having me on. I normally have to shout out my sponsors and that's what we're supposed to do. So just a quick list: Tribal International, Cryo Spa, Fight Heads MMA, Gordon Customs, Atlantic Sotheby, J&K Style Grill, Junior Joiner Driving Improvement School. She's over there. Match Bout. I don't think I missed anybody this time. What? Yeah, Damned Wear, which is down in Miami. I have a sponsor already down in Miami, my buddy Warren, who just reached out, and he's down there too. He has a youth outreach program down there that is trying to, inspire kids, get them off the street, and give them outlets, through art and what is it called when you design clothes? I don't know. But yeah, that's his thing though. He's using his platform too, to help people. And so I was really honored when he wanted me to be an ambassador for him. So yeah, I just thank you so much, Tim, for having me on and giving me an opportunity to, share my voice, share a little bit of myself and my story. Like I said, I only have a capacity to be honest. Yes, anybody out there, if you're going through something, if you're struggling, first thing is stop and be honest with yourself about what's going on. The second thing is reach out. There are people out there who care. And the third thing is you can define who you want to be at any moment in time. In 1 second, my life is over and I have a new one.
Wow.
And my life is made new already. All it took was 1 second.
1 second. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So thank you very much. And you have a blessed day, brother.
You have a great, hey man, we got to chop it up again sometime.
Definitely.
Outside of a Zoom meeting, man. Send me an address wherever you're at or wherever you want something delivered to you. Anybody who takes the time to give me an opportunity to speak, be an inspiration to the people, we're going to send you something from 757 Box.
Wow. Yeah, I definitely will give you my information.
All right, man.
All right, brother. Peace,
Be
man.
blessed, brother. You have a great evening.
You too, man.
Later.